dun, 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 dun. There's blood in the water. There's blood in the water. All right, everybody. Welcome to the How to Sell Insurance podcast. My name is Ryan Federico. I am here with Ashton Delango Lunde and Senior Keith Fonseca, DJ Debt Free. Man, we are on and popping right now. It is the last few weeks of the year, and it is the insurance gold rush. There are people just coming out of the woodwork, ready to buy insurance, ready to get things done before the end of the year. And man, it's a great time to be in insurance. But we wanted to take a little time here to put out a little bit of content for you and see if we can help you for what we're titling, "What Do You Do When There's Blood in the Water?" Dun, dun, dun. So here's the concept for everybody. We believe that if you're a salesperson, especially if you're an insurance salesperson, you're going to run into a lot of clients that view you as a shark, essentially, right? And we are sharks, but how do we not act like sharks? And when I mean we are sharks, I don't mean that you're bad in any way or what you're doing is bad. It's just that in the salesperson / customer relationship, they're taught to push back against you and you're taught to make a sale. You're hunting. You're just like a shark, right? And so how do we do shark behaviors without acting like sharks, without jumping all over them, without attacking super fast, to be a little bit more tactful? As Keith said, how do we become sharks that look like dolphins, right? Or something like that. Sweet sharks, if you will. So wanted to jump in here. And when we say blood in the water, I guess there's a few things that need to be present in any client meeting that are going to turn into a sale, right? There's a few elements that we need to have. The number one element we need to have for most people is emotion. That can also be thought of as a need. Somebody has a need for insurance. Usually that need is going to get exposed through some sort of emotional experience, that if something happened to them, it's going to be an emotional result for their family, or it's going to be an emotional result for their children, or it's going to be an emotional result for them because they're not going to have the finances to live if they're disabled and they can't work, or something like that. But we have to tap into that emotion of why they need insurance. So that's the first thing. The second thing is urgency. Why they need to do it now. Why they actually need to move on it immediately. And as you know, Keith Fonseca says, we have the greatest urgency built in the history of mankind, because nobody knows when they're going to die, right? So we have to create urgency of why they want to do it now. If you listen to Jeremy Miner, and we love Jeremy Miner's stuff, he asks this question of just like, okay, well, why now though? Why do you want to buy now? Like, tell me why you want to buy now. So how do we cultivate urgency? We did a great podcast about holiday urgency. End of the year, we're almost in the end of the year right now. There's a lot of urgency that can be created through the end of the year, which is like, hey, prices usually go up at the beginning of the year. So everybody wants to get it done before the end of the year so that they don't have to pay more next year or something like that. Create that urgency. Man, my calendar is so booked in the week after Christmas because everybody wants to do it between Christmas and New Year's. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to you. And the last thing I want is for you to have to pay more money because prices go up in January, right? Or something like that. How do we create that urgency for them to do it today? So the third element, I think, is giving somebody permission to buy. Okay, so this is where you're overcoming objections before they happen. So saying things like, hey, we're going to apply you to see if you get approved. I don't even know if the insurance company is going to approve you. We're going to see. Well, the insurance company's thinking about if they want to cover you, you can think about if you want the insurance, or whatever it is. How do we give them permission to buy, that they don't need to get every possible option that's out there in the marketplace, that they're going to have time to review this before it goes final, and allow them the environment to make a decision today? So I think those are the three things of, like, number one, get them emotional and build a need. Number two, create some urgency. Number three, give them permission to buy so that they can make a decision today. So when we're creating these three elements in an appointment, for instance, when we need to get them emotional, there are certain things that people will tap into through our questions that will be blood in the water to an experienced salesperson or an experienced closer, if you will, that novice agents just don't even see. They don't get it. They're not connecting the synapses. So we're hoping that with this podcast, we're able to help you connect those things. So the first thing I want to throw it to Keith, and I want to sort of just preface this question by asking, to you, when I say there's blood in the water, what does that even mean? that there's blood in the water, and why do you think so many new agents miss what we see when there's blood in the water? So go ahead, floor's yours.
Wow. And you just said the word synapses to new agents. So you got a bunch of people pulling out a thesaurus and a dictionary.
Synapses, to connect your synapses in your brain. So that, anyway, sorry.
Oh, man. What's blood in the water? I mean, look, you guys know that I try not to use the word sales. This is the How to Sell Insurance podcast. And we know we're in sales, right? But the word sales to me doesn't have the same kind of impact as solution. Right, so I like to think of myself as a solver, not a salesperson. Yeah. And in this solver type of scenario, right, she sells seashells, I'm looking for that need to be solved, right? So you brought up the emotional need, and I'm looking for that need in a number of places, right? The need medically. When we know someone will have trouble qualifying for insurance, that's a big need that needs to be solved. Financially, when we know someone's going to have a financial gap, that's a big need that needs to be solved. Now, there's always an emotional tie to both of those needs. But the biggest emotional tie, Ryan, when you say let's identify blood in the water, it's family. Family, 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 right? I'm yet to see someone go out, come and get some life insurance to protect their long-lost friend that they haven't talked to in 10 years. Right? Everybody's here buying life insurance to protect their family. So the sooner I can get to their family, the more efficient I can be in exposing that need and harping on the emotion. So blood in the water to me is right in the beginning, right? I don't know a successful agent who doesn't start with rapport. I don't know a successful person who doesn't start with let's connect as human beings, right? Those that think of themselves as salespeople, they go right to price. They go right to service. Hey, how much is it? What are my options? Yeah, let me just dive into all that and give you that information so I have no value to you right now. I'm not a human. I'm just a vending machine, and you can ask me for info that you can find on Google, and my value's gone. So
yeah, don't do that. Don't do that, people.
No,
Stop.
No.
For God's sake.
Not if you want to be in this industry long time, right? So what is the real value that people are looking for? I say it's leadership, right? It's a metaphorical way of saying someone who sees enough value in themselves to lead the conversation, to lead it to the place that we need to go to be able to successfully reveal that emotion that we're calling blood in the water. So at the very beginning, if I'm like talking to a person and, I know Jeremy Miner says don't start this way, right? I'll say my agency, myself, my reputation is successfully built on the very first question, which is, how's it going? Right? Like, to me, that's a very human connected, how's it going? Oh, I'm going well. How's it going with you? Oh, great. Having a great day, helping families, super excited we got together. So how long have you guys lived in that home? Right? Or how long have you lived in that community? A very traditional but non-vulnerable type of question. Now, blood in the water is vulnerability. It's an intimacy. So this is how I would convert that into blood in the water. Right? How long have you lived in that home? Oh, not long. Oh, I see. What made you choose that home? Is it near family? Is it in a community that reminds you of when you were a kid? Here we are, question 2 or 3. And I'm already asking them about the most emotional pieces of their life, right? And they say no. Oh, okay. Well, what brought you to that home? Is it, something that reminded you of where you grew up? Did they have great sports teams and you were into sports as a kid? Right? I'm going hard to create the blood in the water. But sometimes, how's it going? Oh, man, it's rough. My wife is having a tough day. She just had an accident. Oh, how'd you feel about it? Wow. Did that upset you? Were you worried about her? Is the car okay? That person, I'm assuming it's a he, excuse me, but that person just said, my family, emotional trouble. Like, forget everything else, right? Like, right there, right? I'm thinking steak dinner, steak. No, I'm kidding.
Let's go to Sizzler.
But yeah, if you're looking to help someone and you're looking as a shark that looks like a dolphin, looking for the blood in the water, right? You can smell an opportunity to open up and start digging into an
Oh, for sure.
emotional topic.
Yeah, totally. So I think that's a great point, Keith. So it's like for everybody who's listening out there, it's like, so we know we need to create those elements. So one of the elements we need to create is emotion. And a lot of times I think people, new agents especially, I know that I was guilty of this, new agents come in thinking, oh, I need to create new emotion about insurance. And that's not true. You don't need to create emotion about insurance. You just need to create emotion. And that emotion could be happiness. It could be, yeah, you know what? I just moved into this new house. Why'd you move here? Oh man, I just got this new job. Oh, what kind of new job did you get? How did you get that new job? Why did you take that job instead of keeping the job that you were at before? Man, because they're paying me more money. This is going to be a better life for my family. Oh man, how awesome is that? I mean, did you have something like that growing up for yourself? Now I'm tapping into their childhood. I'm tapping into, they're on a mission to create a better life for their family. And like they're selling themselves on insurance. They're selling themselves on why they need to put insurance in place to protect that they, and like, oh, we're talking about their new job and why they moved into this house. We're not talking about what would happen if they die or what would happen if they have a stroke, or like, we're just selling or we're getting into the emotion of what's important to them. And so, man, I think that's so clear. I think one of the ways that I like to do this as well, and this is, I see agents miss this all the time when I'm reviewing people's appointment recordings and stuff like that. They're asking the right questions. They're asking the right questions, but they're not stopping to recognize there's blood in the water, and I need to actually expose this a little bit more. So, for instance, be like, hey, so tell me about your family. You know, oh, my mom passed away. Oh, okay. They just move on. Why would you move on from that? Right? It's like, okay, so talking about my mom passed. What happened? How old was she? What did she die from? What was that like for you? What kind of insurance did she have in place? What happened with the family after she died? How long did it take to get everything moved out of the house? What about this? What about that? And what you're going to do is you're going to put that person back in the emotional position that they were in when their mom died, right? Reliving that emotional experience, and subconsciously they're on a meeting to protect their family from going through the same thing. And so a novice agent will just go, oh, your mom died. Okay. Next question.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yeah. My God, I'm so sorry to hear that. What happened? What was that like for you guys? Were there other siblings? What about your dad? You know, my dad. So like, I guess I want to throw it to you, Ashton, on this now that you're done closing deals. I think Ashton's like on the keyboard right now closing.
Hey Ryan, before you move on, can I add one question? Can I just add one question in that set?
Sure.
Just for 1 second. One question that is, push people way into the space of buying. What was her name?
Nice one. My mom died. What was her name? Her name was Julia.
I mean, it's such a no-brainer question, but novice people and some of us, we think we're infringing on private information that we shouldn't be asking about. And here we are to protect your family for the rest of their life. I can't think of a more non-private moment ever.
Yeah, let me get to know that person.
Yeah. What was she like?
Really experienced salespeople. I was just going to say that. Will be like, tell me about her. What was she like? Was she the matriarch of your family? Right? What are some of the lessons that she taught you? You know, what was it like when she passed? What was that like for you guys? And like, if somebody asked me, well, like, why is that relevant? I'm like, well, a lot of times, people's relationships with their family is what they want to create in their own family. And so I'm sort of looking for your motivation of what you'd want to create for your children. How was it like? How was that when your mom passed away? What was that like for you? What did you guys have to go through? What do you want to make sure that your kids don't have to go through when you pass away? Right. And so it's like smelling that blood in the water and going for it. So, Ashton, when this comes to you, and are you done setting your appointments? Ashton's got appointments coming out the wazoo right now. He's just like blasting appointments. So when you smell that blood in the water, whether you get it in urgency, whether you get it in, digging into the emotion, doing a financial overview or a financial fire drill with them and creating a need. But what are some of the questions that you ask to kind of pause the presentation for a minute and just expand on the emotion right there before you move on to the next step.
Yeah. I think the first clarifying question, to expand a little here, which point of the process are we talking about? Like, are we talking about, hey, I just walked in the door building rapport, or what are we talking about?
Go through multiple, because this would be great for people to know, hey, if you get it when you're in rapport, this is normally what I'm asking. If you get it when you're in the financial assessment, this is normally what I'm asking. If you get it at the end, right, this is normally what I'm asking. If it's different. If it's the same, then just say it's the same, but go ahead.
Yeah, so it's going to differ in every single phase of the appointment. You know, the questions I'm really digging into when I'm building rapport are going to look a lot different. You know, like we said, you know, we can think of those more serious questions of, well, hey, like my mom passed away, that's why I'm looking for this. Yeah, absolutely. We got to be digging in without a doubt. But there's even those smaller hints. You know, I was running an appointment this morning. I had a referral that, hey, my mom gave me your phone number. She told me to call. Like, I need insurance. Nice. Okay, great. Glad to help. And we're on the phone. And she's like, well, I need insurance. Well, you know, I don't have it with my job anymore. Okay, great. How much coverage are you looking? No, that's not where we go next. Oh, we don't have a job? What happened? Why don't we have a job anymore? What does that look like? Well, you know, I'm pregnant and I can't do the job I was doing. It was too much manual labor. So I can't do it. And they're not going to give me maternity leave for 9 months. Like, I'm 23 weeks pregnant today, and I'm not going to have maternity leave for another 30 weeks plus when I'm out. They're not going to pay me. I got to get a different job. Okay, so now we need a work-from-home job. Ding, 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 ding. I might be able to help you. And I'll give you a little sneak peek there. We ended up hiring her. Now this is someone that might need a job. Okay. Now I'm also going, well, what's the income look like? Are we even going to be able to afford insurance? Do we got to make sure the bills are paid? Well, hey, my fiance makes plenty of money, pays all the bills, and then some. My income is really like the sprinkles on top. That's our go out and have fun money. Okay, great. So now we know income. Now I'm digging into that. All right, which kid is this? This is kid number 2. Oh, that's so great to hear. Oh, yeah, I got coverage on my other child. All right, well, now she's wanting more coverage. She's like, but I've been looking for those college plans where I can save up money. She's like, man, I really want to be able to do that. So now we're talking about setting up college plans for each of her kids. Now I'm getting, and this is all in the rapport building, because the thing is once I heard hey, don't have a job anymore, well, let's dig into that. Hey, totally. I have kids. We're digging into that.
Yeah, totally. And I just want to, I want you to get to the next phase, but before you do, I just want to say this, because there was a couple things that came up, and one that is kind of pertaining to you too. It's just like, okay, I lost my job, and you're jumping on that one, going like, hey, what happened? What did you do? What was it like working there? Like, what are you going to do now? You know, what's the plan for this, right? And digging into that emotion. Then the second one was, I'm pregnant. I was like, oh my gosh, how far along are you? Do you know, is it a boy? Is it a girl? Are you guys going to find out? Oh, we're going to wait to find out. Oh my God. Is this your first child? No, it's my second child. Oh man, how old's the other one? The other one's 3. Oh, it's such a great time. They're going to have siblings together. Like, did you have that when you were growing up? Did you have like any siblings like that? Oh, I got 2 brothers and a sister, and oh man, like great. So, I mean, I know we're not future planning here, but are you guys, planning to have more, or, or whatever? Now you can share, hey, my wife's pregnant. Like, I'm about to have my first one. Hey, I'm about to have a child. And like,
exactly what I did.
You're building rapport. And for those of you guys who don't know, Ashton's wife is pregnant, so he's about to have his first child. Spoiler alert for anybody. But like, hey, maybe I can build some rapport of like, man, any tips you can give me about like raising a child, or or whatever. And now I'm like building rapport, creating a relationship with this person while I'm also highlighting the emotion. Super, super great job, man, like of highlighting those 2 questions. And these are things that, like, if you're a new agent and you're struggling and you're getting to the end of a sale and somebody's like, oh, we're going to think about it, or oh, email me prices, it's probably because you're not doing this. You probably heard, I just got laid off from my job, and you're like, oh, okay. And then, hey, I'm pregnant, and oh, okay, got it. So how much coverage did you want? And you're not doing anything to like get into the emotion and the why and the urgency and giving them permission to buy. You're not getting into any of that Ashton just got into. And you're wondering why, like, it sounds so simple, right? Why are these top end people making $40, $50, $60,000 in a month in this business, and you can't figure out how to make 4 or 5? It's this, right? It's you being able to identify when there's blood in the water and stop for a minute and highlight that emotion and get to know them as a human being and get to know their reasons why, and not just be that vending machine that Keith was talking about. So thank you for that, Ashton, but keep on going. So now let's say that you're doing like financial fire drill, or you're going through their financial overview, and something like that happens again there.
Yeah, and there's a few different ways. I mean, in a mortgage protection, some things are a little bit more clear. Like, hey, we know exactly, how much coverage we're looking for and exactly how to design it. We got a mortgage, we got a monthly payment, we can design it for X amount of years. When we're dealing with general life, which like this lady was, hey, I just want life insurance. It's going to be a lot more open-ended. It's like, well, great. Well, how much do we want? Well, why do we want it? What do we need it for? And so we need to dig in to those questions. Those are those key words that a light bulb should be coming on for you. Mm-hmm. And so I do it a few different ways of, hey, what are the goals of why we're getting coverage? What do we want it to do? And in her case, she's like, I just need coverage because I want to make sure nothing happens to my family. Anything could happen. I walk out the door and anything could happen. I don't want to make sure there's just something. And her main thing was, I want to make sure it's affordable for this phase of life right now, that while I don't have a job, it's affordable. And when I do, it's more affordable.
Sure.
So I said, great. Well, how much coverage are we potentially looking for? So just like maybe 50,000, just something. I said, okay, well, what's the budget we're looking for? I know we don't have a job. I know we got the other household income. Well, what budget are we wanting to stay within? Well, I don't really know. Just tell me some options. I said, man, well, I can get you options anywhere from, like $2 all the way to $1 million a month. Like, what's comfortable for you? She goes, oh, well, just $50. I said, great. So I was able to go look, and, she only wanted $50,000, but I said, hey, on $50, you can get $315,000 in coverage. For $40, you can get $216,000. So if I would have just simply went with that request of I want X amount of coverage, well, we would have written a lot less.
$17.
She didn't know she could get as much. Yeah. Some companies wouldn't even accept that. That'd be too little of APV for a company to even accept that. To go, hey, too little, please write more. Totally. And then we were able to go, hey, guess what? I'm able to quadruple your wildest imagination of what you wanted, and you're able to get 4 times the coverage. She goes, oh, my goodness, that's amazing. I'll take that one. And she got instantly approved, and she's like, Ashton, hopefully this isn't an issue. Do you mind if I pay annually? Like, would I be able to pay, like, the whole thing right now so I don't have to worry about it and just get it out of the way? I was like, well, I guess. Yeah, absolutely you can. And she was able to get that taken care of immediately. And she was ecstatic and got 4 times what she wanted in her budget. We didn't stretch her budget. That's the key there. I didn't go, oh, my goodness, well, if you give me like $30 more a month, like here, no, it's like, hey, here's your budget. I was able to get what she wanted and even more.
Yeah, totally. And like something occurs to me in this for everybody listening, because not every person that we talk to is going to jump into just being as open and transparent and flowing with information as we're just highlighting these people to be. There's going to be a lot of people that come to your appointment and they're just sitting there with their arms crossed like this, just like, what do you got for me, or whatever. And we got to remember that like 90% of the time, this is just my opinion now, I don't have any sales statistics to back this up, I just have my gut feeling. 90% of the time, the people that are sitting there like this with their arms crossed, like, what do you have for me, or whatever, those people are the easiest to sell. Those people are so sold.
They want to buy.
They buy everything all the time, and like the only defense they have, right, is like to cross their arms and do whatever. So there's a couple ways to draw those people out. The first strategy is matching and mirroring. We did a whole podcast about that, where like I start off like this, and I start asking questions in the same way that they're giving answers, right? Well, I mean, why do you want insurance? I'm super short.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, why? Why now? Why would you even do this? Right. And like I start matching it. And then when I'm sufficiently matched and mirrored, if I uncross my arms, they will uncross their arms. If I lean back in my chair, they will lean back in their chair. If I lean forward to the table, they'll lean forward, like they will match and mirror you if you create that environment for them, and you can kind of control how they're running an appointment with you. But one of the things that the strategies that I love, and this is like the $1 billion question when I teach the $1 billion question, right? Which is if they're not willing to give up, any personal information or whatever, as I'm starting to ask the general info, I'll ask this question, which is, who do you know that has had something like this happen to them? And I might need to feed them a little bit. Who do you know that's been in a car accident unexpectedly? Who do you know that's had a heart attack or got diagnosed with cancer unexpectedly? Who do you know that's died unexpectedly, right? Who do you know that's had something like this happen to them? And they will give you an answer. My mom, my sister, my brother, my best friend, right? They say my sister. It's like, oh my God, now blood in the water. Some people, if you're asking that question, who do you know? And they're just like, my sister. And you're like, okay, it's $194 a month for $200,000, right? No, stop. Wow, what happened to her? She got breast cancer. Wow, what was that like for her? She had to go through radiation and chemotherapy and surgery. Well, I mean, did she make it? Is she still alive? Yeah. Like, no, she passed away. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry to hear that. What was that like for you when she passed away? What was that like for the family? What kind of insurance did she have in place?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, what kind of insurance did she have in place? Maybe she had none, and he's about to tell you the reason why he wants insurance, the reason why he even agreed to this appointment subconsciously was because his sister died of breast cancer. She didn't have insurance. He watched what happened to the entire family, and he's like, I don't want that to happen to me. He just can't articulate it in the beginning of that appointment, or she just can't articulate it in the beginning of that appointment. We got to draw it out of them. And like him saying, my sister had breast cancer is blood in the water. And I want to draw out as much emotion from that as possible. What was it like? What did she go through? What was treatment like? Is she still alive? Did she die? What kind of insurance did she have in place? What was that like for her going through treatment? What were you involved with, right? What would it look like for you if that happened in your life? What would your kids have to do? What would your wife have to do? What would your brother have to do? Right? Like when she died, what happened then? Who cleared everything out of her house? Who was in charge of putting the funeral together? Right? Who was in charge of it? Like, what was that experience like? And all we're doing is driving out emotion. We're getting them at the same time to emotion and urgency, right? Of need together, just by drawing those things out. So I love asking that question. Who do you know that's happened to? Ashton, do you have any other questions that you ask to kind of pull out this emotion to get that blood in the water?
Yeah. I mean, the only other part that I'd probably preface some more questions would really be around the financial fire drill. You got to be really understanding what's a buying question and what's an objection. A lot of times they'll ask questions and we think it's an objection, like, hey, I don't want to do this. Here's my excuse. But they're asking buying questions. Hey, well, can I change this down the road if I wanted to? Or, oh, well, man, am I locked into this down the road and I can't get more coverage? Well, they're not doing, well, I'm trying to think of an excuse not to get the coverage. It's, well, hey, I want to know, can I get more? Can I get less? Or what does that look like? Are changes able to be made? I had one person go, well, man, I'm really going to have to think about this. Absolutely. Definitely want you to make sure you're making the right decision. I want you to think about it. What are some of those questions you have about the coverage? Well, I really just don't know if I get cancer, they're probably just going to cancel me down the road. Or I really got to figure out if I want to just get this covered, and then if I get cancer, it's just gone.
Yeah.
Well, it's a buying question. It's not a I don't want the coverage question.
Dude, totally.
That person asked me 9 times. They said, I want to think about it 9 times. And we had to walk through that. Hey, absolutely, what do we want to think about? What are those questions? What are the concerns? And then we finally wrote a policy on him and his wife, and that's the daughter that just called me this morning. And that was a year and a half ago. And so it's all about walking through that to help them find what they're looking for. It's questions that are buying questions, not,
dude,
I don't want coverage questions.
100%. And I think we can do a whole nother podcast episode. In fact, we probably should on identifying the true objection, like the real objection. And that's what you're talking about there is like when that stuff comes out at the end, well, hey, I want to think about it. Hey, send me questions. Hey, like whatever, or send me an email with all this stuff. You digging into, hey, absolutely. I definitely want you to make sure that we're making the right decision. I want you to think about it. What are some of the things that we want to analyze here? So that I can make sure you have all the information that you need to think about it, to analyze this decision. Like, there's some reason why you're not just like, yeah, let's sign up and let's do this right now. What's holding you back so that I can get you the right information so you can think about it, right? And so it's like now I'm eliciting the real objection. Well, we don't really know if it's going to fit in our budget. Oh, okay. What gives you that concern? Well, we just got this house and we just got this. I just started a new job and I don't know how much I'm going to make and bills and inflation and whatever. Okay, got it. So let me just ask you, would it be better if we just started with like half this policy and like got you some coverage put in place now? Oh, you can do that? Yeah, let's just start with half this, and then when you're doing better, we can up it to more coverage later. That way, it's going to fit in your budget. Does that sound good? Yeah, perfect. Let's fill out this application. And you can isolate the real objection by asking, yeah, when you're thinking about it, what is it that's stopping you from moving forward that we need to solve so I can get you the right information? I love that. And again, that's like blood in the water, right? A lot of the times of like, we want to get them to tell us why they're not moving forward so that we can attack it, which is awesome. So great point, Ashton. Any last thoughts, Keith, from you about this topic before we wrap it up?
I just think that it's probably a whole nother podcast. We don't focus enough on selling insurance. Has absolutely nothing to do with insurance.
Right.
It just really, everything we've talked about today is critical thinking, and looking beyond current discussion into what we're actually talking about. I'll share one quick anecdote. I heard somebody do this for a medical report, and it's so perfect. So, obviously we take medical reports here, and I heard someone say in their regular medical report, is your father still alive? That's a yes or no. And if it's a yes, okay, great. How much coverage does he have in place? Well, I'm here to cover myself and my family. No, I understand that. Just wondering how much coverage he has in place, because God forbid he passes away, that financial burden is going to fall on you, right? And if you say, is your father still alive? And they say no. Okay, did he have life insurance in place? No matter what the answer is, there's a scenario that I can critically, now dilute all the way into the same spot that I want to be, which is them visualizing the same thing happening to them.
Yeah. Do you want to do the same thing that your dad did for you, or do you want it to be different because he didn't have life insurance and it puts you in a tough spot? 100%. So brilliant.
Such a simple road to get to the place of because all we've talked about today is painting the picture, but understanding that they're opening the door to where that picture lies.
Sure.
Right? And so if you want to manufacture the door on your own, it's just simply ask about their parents. Is your father alive? But too many agents are too afraid to say, did they have life insurance? And how do we practice that? Next time you meet someone in society who says so-and-so passed away, next time you go to a funeral, ask the person, did they have life insurance? We think that's such an invasive question. As life insurance agents. And yet, it's like such an obvious, there's only two ways to go, yes and no. No, oh, that sucks. What's it going to look like now? Yes, oh, thank God. Thank God they had it. What's it going to look like now? And it just...
It drives me crazy sometimes, man. Like, people have somebody die in their life, they go to a funeral, and it's like, dude, those are your people that you know, and I promise you, like 15 people at that funeral are going to buy life insurance right after that funeral, and the only reason why they're not buying life insurance from you is because they don't know that you do it, and they would rather buy it from you. But you're so afraid to say, like, hey, if you need life insurance, I do life insurance, that they're just going to go buy it from somebody else who's probably not going to cover them as well, doesn't care about them as much. You're just too afraid to ask these questions, which is just like, it's all, again, a whole nother podcast about why you're afraid. But Ashton, last thoughts from you, my friend.
Yeah,
Speechless.
left me speechless.
He's busy selling more policies, this guy.
I actually am booking another appointment right now. They're texting me. So yeah, the final thought that I would have is the number one thing that you can do in any appointment is ask yourself, how can I ask why to anything you're saying? What is another way that I can ask this client why, or maybe how? Think of the interrogative pronouns. What, where, when, how, why, to what extent. Think about those questions in every single appointment to everything they say. They go, hey, I need coverage. Or how can I ask why? How can I ask it again? How can I ask why 7 times in every appointment? How can I ask those interrogative pronouns? And that's going to allow my client to answer those questions about why we need this and not me tell them.
Totally, man. All right, well, we've burnt everybody's brains out. We talked about synapses. We talked about interrogative pronouns. So I think we've used enough big words today. I will say, just as a recap for everybody, remember, when we're running an appointment, we want to create those 3 elements. Okay, number 1, we want to give them a need, right? We want to have some form of emotion, and that emotion can come from anywhere. It can come from a memory. It can come from positive, like why they moved into this house or what good is going on in their life that they want to protect. But we got to get them emotional. We got to get a need. Number 2, we got to have some sort of urgency for them to do it now. And number 3, we got to give them permission to buy, to let them know that it's okay to do something now. Nothing's necessarily set in stone. We're just going to take the next step forward. They still have plenty of time to review or whatever. And all along those steps, when we get these little pieces of information, we want to stop what we're doing and we want to expand those little pieces of information. When we smell that blood in the water, we want to open up that wound, if you will. I don't want to sound too graphic and gory, but we want to open that up and we want to expose the real reason why they want insurance and create that need, create that urgency, and give them permission to buy. And then if they're looking for a job, hire them like Ashton Langalunde did. So we're going to keep bringing you fresh content. We're going to have another episode for you before the end of the year. We promise. We love you all so much. Like and subscribe. Go to
Happy Hanukkah.
Go to writemoreapps.com and make sure you check out all of our content. Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy
those haven't come yet.
What's the what's the one from Seinfeld? The
Festivus for the rest of us.
For the rest of us. Yeah, amen. And for those of you guys who are not going to see us before then, have a great Christmas, and we'll talk to you soon. Later, everybody.